There's like parts of my head that, not parts, I guess there's one spot in my head that kind of hurts. I wonder if it's from playing that fucking Echo game with the head strap on.
I'll tell you, it hurts my hair. The day, so on Monday we played and I had just gotten a haircut. So, my dude he'd just been fucking up there getting it. Mm-hmm. And then I put the headset on and it just kind of pulls at my hair and it hurts my scalp. I don't know what your problem could be, but that's what mine is. Cause it's rubbery. Like it definitely pulls my fucking, I need to get like a do-rag or something. So
instead of pulling hair, it pulls fucking basically skin.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say from the picture you sent, Cody, your hair is just complete divot. It was just like stuck in there.
It's fine. It's the whole. I mean, it's all the weight, and it's designed to put the weight on the curve around the back of your head back here. But it's not perfect, so it ends up just kind of pulling a bunch of mine. But yeah, I need to get like a skull cap, otherwise it's gonna continue to just completely fuck my hair up.
Well, for the because you both have Oculuses, right?
Yeah.
Have they? Okay, you've been playing that game a lot. Have they put out the actual game? Like, what the hell is it called again? Apex something?
Oh, the full game. So it's called Echo.
Yeah,
it's called Echo, and I guess Echo is an umbrella of a few games. What we've been playing is Echo Arena, which is that kind of soccer, ultimate frisbee type game, and then there's Echo. Seth, what's the combat? Echo Combat, I think is what it's called. And that's a first-person shooter.
Combat
so you have a
one?
gun. What's the one? What's that second John Wick movie called? Yeah, I think Echo Combat you have a gun, and so it's still 0G and everything, but you have a laser. Mm-hmm. So we haven't played that one though, and that's gonna be with the full package, which I think is set to come out this summer, but I don't know. It's still in beta.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if that comes out during the summer, especially since we're all like stuck inside, I feel like you guys will just be you're basically living Ready Player One right now.
Yeah, totally. I think I had my most proud sports moment inside of the helmet last night with in overtime. I threw a half court frisbee shot just as like to clear it. And it made it in the goal, and it was an overtime, so it was a game winner.
Wow!
It was pretty amazing.
Is it a thing the way that the frisbee and everything is set up, where it's not like it has to be in the goal by the time hits? Like once the time hits and no one's touching the ball, it still, or frisbee, it still goes.
No, it's like hockey. It's got to hit it before.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That shit's fun though. Yeah, I was yelling and shit. Like people in my apartment probably were wondering what was wrong with me.
And it was our last game we had planned to play too. We were like, this is the last one because our headsets are about to die. That's the only thing that's annoying with those headsets is they only got about an hour life in them.
An hour?
15.
That's it?
Yeah, it's not long.
At that game, I think that game probably demands more of it than other things do.
At least the thing is like, and again, you guys know more than I do, but like if you're in there for too long, don't you get a little trippy?
A little.
That's what I was gonna say. I think as disappointing as the short battery life is when you're really in it and wanting to play, I think at the end of the day it's a blessing because we would spend 4 or 5 hours at a time, and I don't think that's probably healthy. So if anything, it provides a governor for us to like be on it less than we would want to be.
Yeah, it's funny because we got last night was JBuck Live, and so beforehand Cody's like, got about an hour before, you want to play? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And then as soon as JBuck Live ends, I text, you ready to go back in? He's like, let's do it. So
it's like you guys are just plugging into the matrix like
That's pretty much it. And actually, I just had a thought that there is a YouTube app for Oculus, so we could have stayed in the whole time if the battery's allowed. We could be watching JBuck Live.
That's true.
In virtual reality. I don't know how commenting and being in the chat would work. But
that would be just fascinating. Yeah, you have like the screen over on this side, and then the comments just scrolling. Yeah, I don't know how you'd comment in there or whatever.
It'd be sick if they gave, because we do mods for the comments over there. So if we could have like some sort of sword, and that would allow us to hack.
Beat Saber,
to get rid of bad comments, that would be sweet. So if you're out there, Oculus, hook that up. Let's make YouTube a little more action-y.
Yeah, let's get those mods, some fun modding tech or whatever.
Yeah. There we go.
Anyways, guys, this is Movies and Nonsense episode 23, I think. I don't know. We're able to almost rent a car. We're able to drink and everything like that. But no, I got a couple fun returning guests on the show. You know, they've been on quite a few Patreon episodes. They joined me last week for the charity live stream. They are the host and co-host, or the so-host and co-host of the SoCo Show. Cody and Seth, what's going on, fellas?
Yo.
Before we get into everything, I just want to say thank you again for last Thursday joining in on the live stream, bringing some fun games. I don't know. It was great. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. It was good. Yeah. Thanks for letting us be a part of it. We were, it was an easy decision to make, and I was really, really happy with how it turned out. You should be very, very proud. Not only for the money raised, but just for putting that all together and on short notice. So we were just glad to be able to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My sentiments exactly.
I don't know what's been going on. Aside from last week, we did a kind of a that charity live stream, just hanging out. There's no movies. What's been going on?
I made an observation earlier. A Seth's observation. If this is the podcast, I would create some stupid name for it.
An observation.
Hit that graphic.
Observation. There you go. Observation. I love it. This is just something I realized today on Facebook. Of course, Facebook is notorious for targeting ads. So if you look something up, that'll pop up on your feed or whatever. And I don't know how these three things, because I haven't searched for any of these. I haven't even talked about other than I guess the obvious of people calling me bald. But I'm getting a product for hair stuff, like hair loss. And then I'm also, for some reason, I'll scroll by and see an ad for fucking people pulling blackheads out of their face.
Oh.
And for cleaning shit out of their ears, where it shows it pulling it out. And it's super quick to show the nasty shit in the ads. It's not even this product is for, it doesn't you have blackheads or whatever.
And then it's boom, Ray Black.
It's immediately people shoving blackheads out of their face and pulling earwax out. I'm like, what is Facebook trying to do to me here? How did they take a picture off my profile and be like, that dude's ugly, we got to get some things here?
I mean, you need all the help you can get, dude, but I wouldn't worry too much about your blackheads or your ears. I've seen some of these too. Mostly when people share the pimple popper videos and things. And I have a message for everyone out there who loves the pimple popping videos. Find something to do. There's so much out there to watch and to do and to listen to. The idea that what you want to do is watch a video of someone digging wax out of their ears and it's oddly satisfying, and that's what you're in. I don't know, maybe someone needs to explain to me why that's so nice and satisfying, but I'm dude, there are hundreds of episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants. Any one of those, even the worst episode of SpongeBob SquarePants is worth watching if your alternative is earwax. That is horrible to me, and I think if that's a hobby of yours, you got something wrong with you. And yeah, that's what I say. I'm okay with making that blanket statement because that's how I feel about fucking earwax.
Seriously, if there are people that are listening, watching, I want to know as well, because I know people personally that they love the pimple popper lady or videos or whatever, and they're like, ew, and I'm like, why do you watch them? Oh, it's so satisfying. But now they've moved on to feet ones with toenails and shaving feet down with those egg. It's just like Cody said, get a hobby, do something else.
Find something to do. Go for a walk. Find a book. Anything. Read the comics in the newspaper.
If there's one thing that I didn't know I needed in my life, it's foot shaving, apparently.
Oh, no. One of those egg things with all the blades, and you rub it across, then you open it up, and it has nothing but skin, and then you put it on Parmesan bread. Ugh.
Oh, God damn.
You're not going to eat that skin, are you?
Hey. Oh, yes, I'm going to put that one right in.
That's just gross.
Salty.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing about those targeted ads, because it's to the point now where right now, the fact that we're talking about it, I will get those ads tomorrow. But I've been getting a bunch of like not those ones that you mentioned, but a bunch of random like
the weird one.
Go buy these like bro shorts. Like it's like fruity colored shorts that are short shorts to wear to the beach or something.
Mm-hmm. Chubbies? Are those called Chubbies?
Yes, Chubbies. There we go, Chubbies. Yeah. And I'm like, is this like a porn site? What's going on here?
Do they have the inflatable crotch like White Goodman and Dodgeball?
No, they should. If so, I would buy a pair, but I don't know.
I would buy that too.
What's that?
Yeah. I would buy that too, not because I feel like I need an enhancement. I'm pretty confident about what I got in the shorts there, but just the shapeliness of it, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, you get to moving around. Maybe you do a jumping jack or you walk off a curb, and it's a shock to the system, and stuff gets all tangled. And you don't want to be rocking a weird look down there. So even just for the sake of consistency, having the inflatable cod piece, I think it'd be good for everyone. It's a surprise to me that it's not on every pair of shorts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's ones for the gym, ones for formal, Sunday attire, casual Friday, anything and everything like that. I think that they should definitely make those.
Yeah. You deflate it a little bit to go to church, sure. But like Friday night, if I'm hitting the club, max power, baby. Let's go.
Max power. Yeah. Well, this one's getting definitely off the rails with nonsense heavy with targeted ads and cod pieces. But that's what this show is, I guess. I was curious though. I don't know if we should get into it right now, but I've talked with Seth a few times about this. Cody, I don't know about you, but like, what is your first? I wanted to talk about video games. What's kind of like your first exposure to video games, I guess?
Oh, I love this. Because I got a PlayStation, the original PlayStation, as a Christmas gift. I was probably like five or six. Mm-hmm. And that was back when there was one TV in the house for my family. And that wasn't even like even we were squarely a middle-class family, but even rich families didn't have a bunch of TVs in their house. This was kind of before the generation where kids had TVs in their rooms. Mm-hmm. That was kind of rare. And so we had one TV in the living room. So the only time we got to play games is when either our parents were not in the house or when they were doing something else, or if they went on a walk or something. Like we had to get permission to play video games, which is interesting to think about. And you got to do the VCR and then go to channel 3 and all of that, everything about getting a PlayStation started, to me today is hilarious. But the first game I ever had was Rayman, which went on to become a pretty successful series. And then the first Crash Bandicoot game. Those are the early games. And we'd play with my mom. My brother was too young to play. He was like only 3 or 4, so he didn't get it. But my mom and I would just take turns. We'd play until someone died, and then we'd switch on Rayman and Crash Bandicoot. So those old school platformers, with kind of the cartoon characters, even today, those are my favorite games. I've played one of the best games I've played in the last 5 years is Rayman Legends, and I 100%ed it.
I think it's cool that your mom played with you.
She loved it. Eventually, stuff got more complicated than she cared to learn. So by the time, certainly by the time PlayStation 3 comes out, she just didn't care to be that sophisticated of a gamer. When it's just left, right, and you need to know how to jump, it was a fun way for us to kind of bond. I'm grateful for that now, because I would have been playing either way. So the fact that mom liked it was pretty nice.
Yeah. Seth, what about you?
Yeah, mine dates back a little bit further in terms of consoles. My parents had a regular Nintendo. We always called it regular Nintendo, but the first Nintendo. Mm-hmm. I remember even playing Duck Hunt when I was really, really young, super young, on a TV with a twist dial that changed the channels.
Oh, wow.
I had one of those in my room. I've always, as long as I can remember, had a TV in my room. So I always had the hand-me-down TV. And so that was that one. But then really the biggest one was Super Nintendo. That's what I played the most. I still own one to this day. Like right now I'm going through and playing the Marios because I have the Super Mario All-Stars.
Oh yeah.
And Cody and I actually talked. That might be the first remaster that's ever been done because the Super Mario All-Stars has the first Mario game with Super Mario World graphics on it.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It's styled like that. That might even be the first remaster. But anyway, Super Nintendo is what I remember the most. To Cody's point about parents playing the games, they did with me a little bit. Like specifically, I remember we rented Booger Man and played Booger Man together. But my parents more than playing with me is they got me the Super Nintendo for Christmas and PlayStation for Christmas as well. And both those consoles they opened early and played days, months, weeks in advance, however long they had it, and then repackaged it for Christmas. So
yes.
There was already a saved game on Super Mario World when I got the package of that.
Did you understand that, or were you just like, cool?
I found out like a couple of years ago. Like my dad told me, we used to get that for Christmas and we'd play it before you'd get it. And so
it's amazing.
So yeah, that was a fun revelation. But I mean I even have a home movie of me. I apparently wanted to record myself playing video games for some reason.
Twitch streaming, man.
that was one of the
first Twitch stream.
Hell yeah. But I was my Super Nintendo. And honestly, I can picture my room vividly still. I can smell smells of playing like Super Mario. Like I have a distinct memory of a level and a smell with Super Mario World.
Weird.
But it's a weird childhood specific memories. But there's a video of me playing Donkey Kong Country 3 on Super Nintendo while like the camera was just on me playing and I was getting mad. And I can remember specifically the Super Nintendo controller where there was a bite mark on the controller because I got so mad at it.
You bit the controller?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I'm not gonna lie, while I've been replaying Mario, there's times where I've almost bit the controller in that same spot because I was getting so frustrated.
Aggressive gamer, huh? Was it you or Cody that mentioned that you guys have broken controllers before?
Oh, I've done it many times.
Cody, have you?
Yeah, that was by accident. I was never really. Seth was a lot more aggressive than I was when it came to games. We had controllers that we used for years. I still have and still use the Xbox 360. No, Xbox One. The original Xbox One that I got, which was like 7 years ago. I got the Master Chief version because it came out with Halo at the time. And it's the first Xbox One controller I got is still the one I use. My shit usually lasts. But yeah, Seth had a way of throwing his around, so it didn't last as long.
There really isn't because it's one of those things when you do it, especially as they've gotten like more expensive over time.
Yeah.
That's been the unfortunate thing. Like a $10 Super Nintendo controller, like you can throwing that down or whatever, breaking it in half. But the moments prior to, like, in between the moments of anger and then when you release it when you obliterate the controller by throwing it on the ground, there's probably no more satisfying feeling until 3 seconds later when you realize, oh yeah, that's $50 that just left my pocket.
Well, and also like right now, if you're playing Super Nintendo and you're going to essentially spike one of those controllers, good luck finding a good controller, like an original controller again.
There are no original ones. Yeah, like those you can find some, but I mean you have to just buy the cheap ass like.
Oh, is that what you have?
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, just go buy like a 6-pack then, and then just have a few that you're ready to spike into the ground.
So far, I've been all right because I have my anger at video games has definitely. It's been a long time since I've actually like shattered a controller. But man, I just still remember like especially the PS3 controllers. Those things would just explode.
Oh my god.
You're right though. They got so sophisticated and so expensive that back in the day, like PlayStation 2, we had 4 or 5 PlayStation controllers, but like 3 of them were broken and you had to know which one the O button wouldn't work for. So you give that to your buddy who's visiting depending on what game you're playing, you want to have the one with the sticky right stick. So it seemed like every kid I knew who had like a PlayStation 2, most of the shit was broken. You just dealt with it.
Oh,
now, that doesn't really work the same way now.
That's the thing is, like, I remember, I mean, I never was one to, I would get very frustrated, but I never broke the controller because I was like, if I break this, I don't have money to buy a new one, because we were responsible for buying the controllers. But my brother, oh my God, I was always terrified because it'd be certain games and he would flip out and just spike a controller and it'd explode. And I'd be like, I'm going to exit the room right now.
Yep.
But I always, obviously with the PlayStation 2, for example, like you get one controller with the console, I believe. But then I would always go buy the off-brand like Mad Catz ones, where I had one that was clear, but it had blue neon in the inside of it that would light up. Like it was like, oh, you could just play it normal, or it's like light mode and it'd like glow blue.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then I also had another one that was like a fatter PlayStation controller, but it was like super fan tech because my hands and feet would sweat tremendously when I would play video games back in the day. So like this had like industrial fans in it that would like had slots on the side, and it would just like cool your hands down while you were playing. And it had like 3 different settings, I think.
Those were sweet. I don't know if that third party still exists. I don't know. Maybe they do, but
they do.
The Mad Catz back in the day. Tell me if you guys can figure this out for me, because I never figured this out. I had a Mad Catz controller, and it had extra buttons on it. Mm-hmm. There was an extra button that it was turbo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never figured out what it did. I have no idea. I tried to use it on like certain games. Never fucking. What is that for? Can someone tell me?
I don't think anything. Seth, you might have a better answer than me, but I always, like, certain games like NFL Blitz, I would always try to use it in that game because that game had turbo. Or I just thought that your character ran twice as fast when you clicked it. I'm under the impression that it did nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it did anything.
It made some flashing lights, I guess. That was about it.
Yeah, I think... I remember playing a game. It might have something to do with maybe even fighting games, but I remember playing a game where I clicked it and it was like, don't. Like, it just said, like, it was like, this game does not have that and could cause an issue. Like, I remember, like, clicking it and like, oh, shit. So I think it has to do something, because, like, Mad Catz controllers, or not even that, there's, like, Elite controllers and different things like that now, where you can mod the buttons and things like that. Maybe it was something with that. Maybe, you could mod the different buttons with it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was like
Reddit,
setting. Did you find the details?
Reddit has an answer. I don't know if it's the answer.
Okay.
This guy asks, he's got an off-brand PlayStation controller. There's a turbo button, and he asks, what's it for? And then the top response says it's for auto-pressing keys really fast. So I don't know what context that's positive in, but I guess it caused you to, like, if you needed to tap something really fast, I think it helped you do that. But
weird.
Like I said, I don't know why that's useful.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, all the Mad Catz ones had that. I feel like there was the way I can picture the N64 one is it didn't have the sides that went all the way down; they were like cut. And then it had like a little control panel up top where it was like, yeah, you click turbo and a little red light would turn on or flash, but it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it too, I have a memory of like a fighting game where I clicked turbo and it said don't, like where it got mad about it. Which would make sense if it's trying to auto tap and you're just doing A over and over again, or whatever. Yeah, I think it might have been I think I might have had a GameCube controller with turbo on it, and I think that was what it was. I had Soul Calibur 2. I think I tried that.
That would make sense. I'm willing to bet that the folks at Mad Catz just like invented that as a feature and didn't talk to any game developers about it, and so there was no actual practical application. They were just like, yeah, our controller can do this cool shit, and we can, charge $10 more for it.
I mean,
but no game ever took advantage of that.
Yeah. And every kid, I mean, like all of us, you as yourself or someone you knew had a Mad Catz controller of some sort.
Yep.
Weird. For myself,
Mad Catz.
Mad Catz, man. Wasn't it with a Z as well?
Yeah. Cats with a Z. Yeah.
It was the 2000s, and everything had a Z.
Everything had a Z in the 2000s.
Everything was a Z.
I remember like video games. I had no idea what the hell a video game was until I think my oldest brother got a Super Nintendo for Christmas, I want to say, with Donkey Kong Country. And I watched him play it, and I just sat there trying to comprehend what the hell was a video game, because it's just, I mean, when you're younger, even still today, when you first figure something out, it's like, oh, how did I not know what this was? Like, that was my first exposure, and I was like hooked. But then like right after that, because I feel like we were always on the later end of consoles, so it was the Super Nintendo that he got, and then like within a year, I feel like he got a PlayStation. And the jump up, I mean, obviously it's like 2D to kind of like blocky 3D. It was crazy, and I always wanted to watch him play Twisted Metal 2. Like,
yes,
the Twisted Metal franchise. I just loved that game.
Those were pretty sick. I think it's interesting, you know, when I was a kid specifically, what I remember the most is when my brother and I got a TV in our playroom, and our parents let us move the PlayStation into that playroom.
Everyone had a playroom, man.
They were big. They were big back then. And
I just called it a room.
when we got what was now unfettered access to video games, that was our world just exploding, because here now we can do whatever it is you can do in a video game just at will. And there's a big difference between having to ask your parents' permission to jump into a video game and being able to do it whenever you want. And that was a major thing for me as a kid, was like, now that I have a PlayStation and now that I have a TV in my room, I can go do everything. And that was like that was like a quantum leap for me, you know, having access to all those worlds. And I know how cheesy that sounds. Oh, I got to explore all these cool worlds and all of that stuff. But, you know, I think for like us, you know, we all started young. I bet you that had a lot to do with the way our imaginations came in and the way our creativity came in and a lot of things. And I bet you in time there will be proof that generationally video games had a big effect on us, especially since we started so young.
Yeah, the fact that you mentioned that you had like your quote unquote playroom or own TV, I'm trying to think. Because the Super Nintendo had the aux thing where you screwed it in, right?
No, it has the.
Did it have the red, white?
Did it
yellow?
have the red, white, and blue, or not red, white, and blue, but the red, white, and yellow?
The one that I have does, and I'm pretty sure the one I had growing up did too.
I feel like maybe I had. You know what? That's what it was. I had to get one of those adapter things because my TV was so old that it only had the screwy thing in. And we did eventually get a TV in our room, but it was our grandpa's. It was 12 or 13 inches, so like it was super tiny. So we were playing on the tiniest of TVs, and the thing is, it was like broken essentially. So every now and then the screen would just turn off. So we would have to smack the side of the TV as hard as we could, and then click the on button as fast as we could, and then it would turn on.
Wow.
So that was our only TV that we had. Otherwise, we had to do the whole thing where it was like, oh, my parents are watching the news or watching a show. I can play it for an hour after school, and then I'm done.
It's so crazy that all the broken shit, all the TVs that didn't work, having to plug in, because we had a similar TV to what you had, Jared, but ours, you could hook the PlayStation in through the VCR. And then the VCR had where if you played a tape and then stopped it, that blue screen that the VCR would go to.
Yeah.
If you had the PlayStation plugged into it, that was where the PlayStation screen was.
So you had to play through a VCR and stop it.
We always had to have a tape. You always had to have a tape in your VCR that you would just play and then stop. And then that would take you to like the auxiliary screen. And then when you fired up your PlayStation, that's where it would show up.
Yeah, that was annoying. I remember that.
we just did shit like that, and we always accepted it, and it was fine. And broken TVs and broken controllers, we just dealt with it. And now I would have zero patience if if a game I'm on, if I get kicked out of a lobby for like a slow internet connection, I'm having a fucking meltdown. So like it's so weird how we've grown to like not be able to tolerate that stuff anymore. But back then, you had to really want to play video games because it took a lot of work.
Yeah, I remember going over to your house and like if like for some reason you were doing something different, like if we had a handful of people over and some people are doing something different and like couples wanted to play video games, I always had to have you do it because like I was like, this is dumb. I don't. For also too, like how was that discovered? How was it discovered where that made it work?
I have no idea, but I do know that my parents didn't know how to do it and my brother didn't know how to do it. So if I wasn't in the house, no one was playing PlayStation.
You know what? That is another thing that falls onto it. Again, not as jankety as you're saying where you're running through a VC. So if you didn't have a tape in, it just wouldn't work?
I'm not sure. I mean, and I was a kid,
yeah,
so
you were a kid.
It could have been that I was doing too much, and that was unnecessary. But that's how I always did it.
I mean, I remember, and this wasn't even that difficult, where you had to have it on like channel 3 or channel 4, and there was the switcher and everything. Like I remember for the longest time, just to get like the VCR or other things working, my parents, they had no clue how to do that stuff, so we had to do it. And if we weren't there, they just couldn't watch a movie or couldn't do whatever we were doing. And it's so weird how the time that we've been alive, which not trying to like date ourselves, but we've seen a lot of technology.
Yeah.
Dude, like Seth was saying, that Mario game remaster was remastered to like 16-bit. That was the upscale that they were achieving, and now, you can't even tell what's real or not in a video game. So like it's really interesting that the timing for all, and we're all a year apart, so it's all relatively the same, but it almost seems perfectly built around our lifetimes. That like there were video games before, but when they became like at home, really accessible to everyone was when we were kids. And now the way that they've exploded and what they've grown into now, and we just talked on our podcast about Tenet, which premiered its trailer in Fortnite. And so the idea that video games are that important now, and Ninja makes $1 million a month doing streaming, like from us banging on the sides of our TVs and dicking around with VCRs to try to get Tomb Raider up with the pointy boobs to what it is today it's really, really insane.
Well, and you know what? I'm glad that, one, I have no idea how the Fortnite Tenet thing even came to be. Like, I thought that was a little outrageous and out there, but again, I don't play Fortnite. But you bring up Tomb Raider. I remember a friend had it, and there was always that, like, urban legend of, like, if you do this, you do that, blah, blah, blah. Then she goes in the shower, and you can see her nude. If you took the PS1 disc and put it in a CD player, it would play a 5-minute scenario of her, like, seductively talking to you, and then, like, you could hear the shower, and is like, I'm gonna go do this or whatever, and it's like, oh, what do you, like, with her like British accent, and then being like, oh, you shouldn't see this or whatever, and then like there's a gunshot, and then it's the end, and then it goes back and plays it over again. How did someone find that out? I have no idea.
Wait, into a CD
You're telling me
player,
that's
like
into
audio?
an actual CD, like you pop it in and it plays like a 5-minute loop.
You know this is true? This isn't a rumor you're talking about at school? This happens?
I remember listening to it.
That is incredible. I never.
Yes.
Oh man.
You know what?
I heard that you could see her boobs if you did whatever it is the right thing was.
I'm
going
to look this up quick if this is real.
That almost gives me the creeps. Like,
that's
not
weird.
Almost just like, what else is hidden out there? Like that it creeps me out a little. Like, not that, like Lara Croft talking sexy, that's not creeping me out, but like the fact that that's even a thing, it's like it's like we were talking on the podcast, like Counting a Hill House. There's just like stuff hidden in the background like that. That it creeps me out. I don't like it.
Yeah, so a lot of people are saying here that apparently it used something called Red Book Audio for the background music and dialogue, so you could put it into a CD player and listen to certain segments of the game. And I remember a pre-recorded thing where she's like talking to you, and it's like that fabled scene, and then it's boom, you're done.
It's almost it reminds me a little bit of like if you play a record backwards and you hear like a satanic chant. It's like that. That's why it creeps me out.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, back then it was just like with Cody's jankety VCR playing thing, we just tried stuff and seen what happened. Like, I don't know how the hell this thing worked, but I remember going to my friend, I would always spend the night at his place. We'd hang out all the time. He could play video games upstairs or downstairs, and if you turn the channel to a certain TV on either up, like if you're upstairs, you could turn it to a downstairs. You could then watch that person play like N64. I have no idea how or why, but you could.
Yeah, I think those were. Those were like parental
splitters.
monitoring things.
Oh, really?
Oh, was that what it was? It was where essentially you could just see whatever the heck was on the other TV.
Yeah, you could see. It could be something different, but I'm pretty sure that existed where your folks could, or they were all somehow wired into one, like
antenna
input.
or something.
Yeah, one series of inputs. But yeah, there was. I have heard of this. I don't know that anyone we knew had it. But I have heard of that. And it wasn't until we were like in middle school or high school that like you could even watch DirecTV in more than one room. So that stuff, that monitoring was ahead of its time even then.
I also really quick want to go back. So Cody, you mentioned with how technology has gotten better and all that stuff. One thing that people often talk about with like classic games is, or like nostalgia is, I miss blowing into the cartridges to it's like I've been playing going back and playing these. You don't miss that. You really don't miss that. I mean it's fun to think about when you're a kid, but putting a game into a thing and it just automatically works, or just having it on your system automatically because it's downloaded, it's much better.
Yeah, but I do like how you could put a game in and it's there and ready to go, rather than, oh, I have to wait 4 hours for this update.
True.
Yes.
And it is more satisfying as well when you do, especially if like you put the cartridge in for the first time, like, and then you hit slide the power button up and you see the logo. That is pretty satisfying when you get it first try or second try. It's like a little bit of a battle. It's like a little bit of a mini game before you start playing, is trying to get it to work.
Well,
That's so funny.
It's funny because I think I only had one Super Nintendo, but I've had two N64s because I unfortunately sold my original one. But maybe not you guys, but how I have felt is I know how the cartridge should go in and fit, and if it doesn't work the first time, blow it a certain way, and then you put it like, oh, maybe a little to the left a little bit, and then put it down and then over, and it's like, oh, it works. I don't know if you guys, it's like this weird, oh, the glove fits type thing. It's like, just right, you know?
Yep. I missed out on this. I've never had a console that had cartridges.
Oh yeah, you went straight PlayStation.
Straight to discs, but what discs had is it was very easy to fuck up and scratch a disc, especially when you're like a 6-year-old kid. And so we had games that we knew there was a scratch on one certain, and you try different things to fix. Tell me if you guys remember this. Do you guys ever remember taking a disc and holding it on top of the toilet water and flushing it to try to clean the disc?
That is fake. That is fake.
So I'm pretty sure you're right that it's fake, but I believed whoever told me, and I tried it with a game.
I know who told you.
Oh my gosh.
Was it you?
It wasn't me, but it was a friend of ours who did the same. Like, that was his method.
Was it
Over
Sean?
the toilet?
It was Sean.
God damn it, Sean.
And
Yeah,
he did
no,
he did it with GameCube games. And he said he accidentally flushed a GameCube game down the toilet because it was
Yeah, those are tiny discs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know how that, but it was things like that. There was like the Disc Doctor, which was some sort of machine, I think, that you would put in. And then there were special wipes and things you could use. So there's all this stuff. There's a whole industry dedicated to keeping scratches off of your discs.
Yep.
And if you got a disc scratched in a certain way, it would fuck up the whole game. Because like we had a game, it was NBA 2K2 basketball. And we got a scratch in the game, and you could put it in, you could start the disc, and it would go through the whole loading. It would show you the licensing screen and then like who made the game. And then when it got to the screen that was like NBA 2K, it would freeze at the same exact spot because that's where the scratch was. And so you put the disc in, you do everything, you wipe it up, you fucking flush it in the toilet. And you put it in there. You put it in there and you're holding control and you're like, I'm finally going to get to play. And it freezes in the same spot. And if by some miracle, because occasionally it would happen, it would get past that spot, that was the equivalent of blowing in your cartridge and putting it in and having it worked. And then at that point, you're afraid to turn the PlayStation off because you don't know if it's going to work next time. Oh, the trials and tribulations of early stage at-home gaming. Wow.
I'm really glad that you were the one who said the toilet thing because I was going to be afraid to admit that was a thing I had done before.
How did you both try this? I've never even heard of this.
A friend of
ours
did
recommended
it,
by the same guy. Yeah.
and I think it worked. The one time he did it. And I was like mad at him because I remember doing it with him. I remember we were in my bathroom and he flushed a game in the toilet, and it was a bigger disc, so it worked. And so I thought that maybe that was a cure. But I remember buying like all those pastes. You would like put paste on the game and then just leave it overnight. Just cake it on there, and it would like get rid of like a scratch that was like. Basically buffed out. Like it was like the big deep scratches, it would never work.
So okay, when you're holding it above the toilet, like how far above this water?
Oh, you put it in.
You want to hold it. Wait. You want to hold it. Yeah. Basically, you want the swirling water to be swirling against the surface.
You put it in the toilet.
Yeah.
I was thinking you're like holding it up here, and the vapors somehow come up. You literally flushed the game down the toilet, essentially.
Not down.
I know, but like
you hold it
in the water.
Yeah, you put it in the water. Yeah. So basically, it's trying to use fucking water to clean a CD, which now, of course, I know is stupid. But then it made sense. Swirling water. I was like, oh, yeah, it's a circle.
Well, I don't know if it was because JBuck, my brother, he's a year older than me. What's up? Why are you laughing?
I just.
Why are you laughing?
I love how Cody presented it as like that's a thing everyone does.
Well, no, look, honestly, I've never heard of this
kid.
until now.
I was a logical fucking kid, and I know that logic was stupid, but it tracked logically. I was like, it's a disc, it spins, then maybe the water should spin in order to clean it properly. Yeah, and we did all of that stuff to try to fix a disc that we could have replaced for $30. That's how much a 6-year-old kid does not have access to money, because we had to go through all of that shit to try to fix a game that could have just been replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, our thing is, I've never heard this toilet flush fiasco or whatever, so that is
because it's not a known.
Yeah, it must not be.
We're the only people ever. It's apparently not a thing like I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, so you guys mentioned, there's those CD, you use paste to fix everything, blah blah blah. I don't know who told us, but it worked every single time. You put toothpaste on the bottom of it, so we would take toothpaste wherever the cracks were and slowly kind of like rub it in a little bit until it's like dry. And it worked every single time.
Weird.
What?
Yeah.
Even on deep scratches?
Yeah. Dead serious. Like every single time toothpaste worked. Huh. And I don't know how, I don't know, like I would love to see kind of what scratches in your mind meant to my mind, but like it wasn't like chips taken out essentially. Like then it wouldn't work, but like pretty good scratches, like especially when we rented games or even DVDs. it would get to a certain part and then skip or completely air out and stuff. And it's like, well, what the heck? We want to finish this. So yeah, we'd just put toothpaste on the bottom of it.
Well, at least
that's crazy.
At least the people at your school were using like some sort of sound logic with fixing the disc in terms of like this paste will fill in some of these scratches. Apparently people at our school are like, flush it down the toilet, and then that's what we went with.
Oh God. Well, that goes to the whole thing of how information travels from person to person back then, because right now you could type how to fix CD. Back then it was like you heard from a classmate, you heard on the playground, you heard from a rumor. Yeah, that's weird. Wow,
Yeah.
you guys flushed CDs.
It never worked for me, but I tried, because there's, we had 2 games, that NBA game, and then we had Ready to Rumble boxing round 2, and we somehow scratched that one as well. And those are the 2 games that we could never play because they were scratched. And of course, they're the only games we wanted to fucking play, because we're kids, and that's what happens when you're a kid. If you can't do something, it's the only thing you want to do. But you were talking about getting a game home from the rental store and having that be scratched. There was nothing worse than having to talk your parents into a $7 2-day video game rental, picking out the game, getting home, and it fucking doesn't work. That I remember being the most mad when that shit would happen to me, especially if the place was closed and like you just blacked out your whole Friday night.
Yep.
Got a whole 6-pack of Mountain Dew and a pound's worth of
pepperoni
M&Ms
pizza.
or some shit. Bunch of pizza, hanging out with your boys, getting ready to play some Madden 1975 or whatever the hell, and get there and the game doesn't work and you can't get a new one. That's the worst.
Then you get the game and you start flushing it. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
I want to know how many people flushed that game before you now.
That's probably, that's maybe it works. Maybe it works the first time you flush it, but since it had already been tried, we ruined it.
That is such a fucking specific thing that
I would never have thought. Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever talk about it ever again in my life, and here we are.
Yeah. Wow. Holy crap!
Seems like this happens every time we get on. Every time we get on, we unlock some little memory of mine that I didn't.
Yeah, you guys have these memories just locked away, and then it's all of a sudden like, oh wow, I didn't remember that. Wow,
movies and therapy.
I am fascinated by this toilet thing. I'm gonna have to Google and see if anyone else did this, because this is bananas, man. Anyways,
if one person comments, yeah, I tried that.
Yeah, and then it's like
we'll be vindicated. But otherwise, we're just the only 2 dumbasses that did that.
People are like, no, Jared, you're the idiot. We all flushed our
maybe. I don't know. I guess I don't know why bathroom utensils or items. I don't know. Weird.
It's
Anyways,
gonna be crazy
though,
when we find out that flushing your cartridges is actually what fixes it.
yeah. You misread that part of the information.
You know what's weird though? Sorry, I know you're trying to move on, Jared.
Oh no, you're fine.
Real quick, with cartridges, apparently like that was a rumor for a little bit that cartridges were going to come back for the newer consoles, because apparently with the way that the chips and shit in there that are in there, they're able to hold more information now than discs, but I don't think that's going to end up being the case. But that'd be pretty crazy if we go back to cartridges and start having to blow in them again.
God.
Switch has those little chips, which I like. I think that's a great format. Easier to carry around if you're going to travel, which the Switch is all about, but it seems like discs are kind of here to stay, at least for a bit.
Completely weird thing. I mean, the Switch cartridges or whatever. Do you guys know what they've done to them so people don't eat them?
Isn't there some bad taste?
Yeah, they purposely coat the chips or whatever in like something that is borderline. It's supposed to taste really, really, really bad. So like you either spit it out or throw it up or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's Nintendo going, okay,
we need to cover our
really
asses.
Understand what our liabilities here. Yeah, because some kids choked and died on it anyway. But at least they tried. That's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly. No, oh my gosh. Well, again, every time
kids are fucking stupid.
Every time I have you guys on, we talk about random shit like this. But Seth, you would kind of I ask you guys for topics or kind of a central topic we can kind of go off of. And again, we're kind of, in that video game centric mood. Do you want to introduce what we're going to talk about? Now a word from our sponsors. Do you want to start investing but haven't a clue where to begin because of the high commission fees and intimidating financial jargon? Well, look no further, because Robinhood is here to save the day, the commission-free investing app. With Robinhood, you are able to trade stocks, funds, options, and even cryptocurrency. And with no commission fees, no minimums, no velvet rope to get started. They even offer fractional stock trading for those of you on a budget. Many young people wait far too long to start investing, so why not start today? Either to prepare for retirement or gain a few extra schmeckles for a fun weekend vacation. Right now, if you sign up using the download code below or in the description, you will be gifted with a stock from Apple, Ford, Facebook, or many others absolutely free. Don't wait until tomorrow, because today is the best time to start. Investing should be free and easy, and now it is with Robinhood. Do you love to read but simply cannot find the time to enjoy your favorite books? Or, did you actually forget how to read? Well, try Audible today. Audible is the world's largest seller and producer of audiobooks and other spoken word entertainment, enriching the lives of millions of listeners every day. With their customer-centric approach to technological innovation and superior programming, Audible has reinvented a media category and is the driving force behind today's audio entertainment revolution. And if you sign up today, you can enjoy a 30-day free trial, which includes 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals absolutely free. Simply click the link in the description of this video to get signed up and enjoy unlimited audio entertainment with Audible. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, I thought, because I've been playing the retro games a lot and been playing more gaming. Next week, as of when we're recording this, Last of Us Part 2 comes out. So I'm excited to get back into some gaming there. That's supposed to be super long with 2 discs on that. We've been playing Echo a whole lot. So gaming has been something I've done more than even watch a lot of TV, which is my normal thing when I do when I get off work. So it's been fun getting back into games. But, there's, especially with like VR, and that's probably where I want to lead into first, there's a lot of room for some more like movie type games to be made. And so I'll go into an example of that, but one that's even just being released here recently is Iron Man. There's an Iron Man game for PlayStation VR coming out, or it already is out. And so like you can start doing more stuff like that. But the example I have is in something with like movies and introducing movies into video games is John Wick. I would love to see a John Wick video game, but specifically in VR, where you are just basically, and they kind of have it now with
Super Hot.
Kind of that, but I think even more so, and just in terms of the gun style, is Pistol Whip, a game called Pistol Whip. Cody's played it. It's a music type game. You can go along with the beat and rhythm and stuff, but there's enemies to shoot, and you can get different guns, and they're kind of in like suits and stuff. So it's John Wick light. They even in the description say a John Wick style shooter. But I would love to do that with like the world of John Wick, and you can move around actually and stuff, and like follow a story. Maybe you get into the Continental type thing, like you get into that society and you're your own guy. Even a video game in general with John Wick would be amazing. I think it would be so fun just to go around like third-person shooter even, and go through the world of the Continental, go get bounties. You can do an online version of it. Just called the Continental. But John Wick, I think, is ripe for a lot of different video games, but VR would be one that I would absolutely love to do.
Man, it'd be interesting, because you could also, if you get away from the gaming and go more to the cinematic side of it, even just to have like a VR version of John Wick. So you're not necessarily playing as John Wick, but you could stand in the scene and maybe walk around the scene while it's happening in front of you. So you're kind of a witness or an onlooker to what's going on. I think that would be another really interesting place you could go with combining kind of that VR tech with what's going on in the movies. I think that there's a lot yet to go there, right? Because you're talking about studio involvement at that point and them shelling out some dollars.
Yeah.
So if VR, but VR, the way it's progressing, and it has been super fast, I could see like more and better and more interactive cinematic experiences being very cool, especially with all the superhero shit that we have right now. It'd be really easy to do a whole list of Marvel games like that.
That John Wick idea, for some reason, when you were just talking, I was thinking, yeah, like if you're in the VR, that'd be really cool, but also like online and you're kind of like going and doing contracts. But like, then what if like people have contracts on you? So like another player's coming after you, but you don't know that. Like that'd just be really fascinating. And again, I think Hitman maybe dabbles in this a little bit, but they haven't done VR for that. Especially like, I think just throw the Hitman skin over it, but I would rather be in that world of the Continental, of just kind of the music, the scenery, the atmosphere. And just do
it in New York.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah, I think that would, and even more so, yeah, like VR would be hard, just technology-wise. I think it'd still be hard to do it in a way because you have to move around a lot and stuff like that. And that does still get, because like with the Echo that we play, that's, you're floating at 0G, and so you don't get that motion sickness. But with something like where you're walking around shooting, you do. Like I've played a lot of games where that happens. But even more than I'm thinking about, like a third person, like an MMO where you're, it's like Grand Theft Auto Online is a perfect example of that, actually. Like do that, but with John Wick, and have the contracts and rise through ranks and get different guns, and maybe you can go against John Wick at some point, which you'd lose, obviously, but go against him at some point. I think there's some really cool opportunities with the world of John Wick that are now becoming more utilized with like the Continental show and all that stuff that are coming out. But there's still so much lore within John Wick. You can go, like, you could do books and different movies and video games. Like, I think they have a wide world that they could continue to go into that they haven't even explored, let alone just video games, but everything else.
Cody, do you have anything?
I think that's my worry for John Wick, is that they're going to exhaust that universe. I think what's really cool about John Wick, especially in the first movie, is you get glimpses of that world without really ever knowing completely what's going on. And my fear is that something like the show, or if they do too many movies, then we're gonna learn everything there is to know about that world, and then it'll become less I don't know what the word I wanted, mysterious, right? And therefore less cool. But that's just me. That I have a specific taste when it comes to that kind of stuff. I would rather have the mystery than know everything. But there is a whole world of people out there who are more curious to learn more, and I'm sure that all those different types of media are coming, if they're not already in the works. The books and the video games and more movies and TV, that'll come, because John Wick is running away with it right now. I think they've grossed higher each movie, which is very rare for a trilogy to do. So John Wick would be, and I totally understand John Wick as like your fantasy VR cinematic experience, but it seems pretty obvious to me that Spider-Man is the one. Like, if we could achieve perfect cinematic VR, for me it's Spider-Man, and then a long way before anything else. That would be the one that I would want. If it was my wish list of VR, movie and video game meeting up in VR, Spidey easily takes it for me.
I think that because especially since, and this wasn't even VR, the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game, the way that you were able to swing felt so satisfying, but able to do that then in a helmet, that would be so cool. It's just, how would you make that feel immersive while you're standing there,
Right. It'd be very hard.
I think that it's almost like how the Echo is, though, with you just kind of make it feel like 0G, like you're weightless, and you still have to maybe pull yourself, because like in the Echo, you can climb walls and stuff, and so I think you could do that with Spider-Man. I think you could do the web slinging just kind of like that. You pull yourself with the web, and you're weightless otherwise, type of thing. I think you could do it. Would it be maybe a little jarring or not for everyone, potentially? But I think you could do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm there day one for any version of Spider-Man VR. I'm there day one, dude.
If if that Iron Man one goes over well, I'm sure that they'll try to expand that into some other heroes.
Yeah, I really want to do. I think it's just at like theme parks or VR park type things, but they have an Avengers. It's an Ultron sequel, quote unquote sequel, with VR, and so you can play as Thor or Hulk or Iron Man in VR, and it's way more immersive and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Original Avengers in VR. What character are you taking?
OG Scarlet. Black.
Yeah,
Widow,
I was gonna say Black Widow too.
Yeah. No. God, I can't. You can't say it wouldn't be amazing to be Hulk and just fucking smash everything. Because the Hulk Ultimate Destruction game back, I played it on GameCube. I loved that game.
Destroyed everything.
It was so fun. Yeah.
I'd have to go Thor. I think it would have to be Thor. I just want the fucking hammer. Everything to do with the hammer would be. What about you, Jared? What would you take?
For some reason, I want to say Hawkeye, but no. I think the Hulk or Thor. Like, I'm somewhere in between because the Hulk would just be so goddamn fun because, like, I would somehow rig up to shove the controllers into the big Hulk gloves and buy those. So I'm like, ah! So I'm just actually, like, acting like him. But Thor would be so fun because it's like, you can bring lightning down, throw your hammer, and then, like, maybe you're fighting over here, and then you just hold your hand up, and it comes back. Like, if they could somehow get that perfectly programmed, that would be so cool. Even with Captain America's shield somehow, being able to, like, throw it, and you kind of get, like, a weight when it comes back. I'm sure we'll see that in our lifetime, but I don't know. I think that, like you guys had said, that VR has progressed so much recently.
Yeah, really fast. Even just the last, especially with Oculus and on the Rift. What Seth and I have is the Quest, which is like a touch behind the Rift because the Rift has been around for so long. But they're only getting better all the time. And even outside of Oculus with HTC and PlayStation and all the other VR platforms that there are, there's kind of an arms race right now. So I think it's only going to continue to grow faster. So I don't even think it'll be very long before we're going to get all these things that we're asking for. And then some shit that we don't even know we should be asking for.
Yeah. For myself, now that you guys brought up VR, I feel like a couple of them could be VR, but the first one, and this kind of almost feels like it could be a reskin of God of War, but I would love to see Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter as a video game. That would be so goddamn cool, where you're Abe Lincoln with a big old hat, you got your 8-pack with a big old axe, and you are just slaying vampires. I think that'd be so cool.
That would be dope. Also, that's an underrated movie.
Yes.
And
I've never seen it.
I'm not saying it's great or anything like that, but I would recommend it to you, Seth. I think it's a lot of fun. And it got a lot of shit when it came out because obviously that's a stupid-ass title. But that movie, it's way better than it deserves to be, and it's way better than it gets any credit for.
Yeah, no, I remember them playing that on FX like constantly, and I just loved watching it. It's ridiculous, it's Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter, like crazy. But I'm just thinking, like, you upgrade your axe, you upgrade just your skills, you grow, just you're hunting bigger vampires. I don't know. I just feel like that'd be really cool to do and everything. But the two that I feel like could fall into VR now, one of them, I feel like they've kind of almost done this recently. Castaway, I think, would be kind of fascinating to be not necessarily stuck on an island, but just trying to how can you find a way off this island in a matter of days? And I think that they did this with a game recently. I don't know what it's called though.
That just came out. That you are stranded on an island. It's not VR, but it's like on PS4 or an Xbox or whatever. But you're stranded on an island and you're on the raft. And even from moment one, you have to decide whether you want to stay on the raft or go in the water. And there could be stuff in the water, or you could need the raft later if you leave it. You can go in different parts of the island, and like there's a whole bunch of different ways to explore. It's like a game entirely about exploring. You can get eaten by sharks. There's different things that can get you. Like, I've thought about doing this one, but I hate water stuff. I hate the sharks. Like, I don't even like in Tomb Raider. There's eels and piranhas in Tomb Raider. I hate those. I hate it. It gives me the heaves every time I play it. Hate it.
I'm with you. I don't like anything that I know is there and close to me, but I can't see it or fight it. That's me checking all the way out. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Why is it with water games like that? Is it just because like you're trying like there's two different worlds essentially? There's the up above, there's down below, and you don't just like things like coming up at you.
I think it's in part because you don't have, and this is true in real life too. This is why water's scary. Like you can't move the way you are typically used to being able to move. And you can't get out of the water without moving in that awkward way. And there's some shit that's supposed to be in that water going faster than you coming to get your ass. So I think it's like being chased, it's claustrophobia, and it's like fear of the unknown. Like deep water is very easy. Like it can scare anybody for any reason. So I'm bad at it. I'm bad at it, especially in games. I'm way worse in scary games than I am in scary movies. I cannot. Seth likes horror movies less than I do, but I cannot play horror games, and he can play some of them. I just can't do it. I can't.
There's a horror game on the VR that it was PlayStation VR. Cody had tried it out.
Was it the kitchen?
No, I can't.
It had a dumb name. It was a demo too. We didn't even have the full game. Is that the one you're talking about?
Basically,
the subway.
There's a point where Cody, the character, when you're in VR, you're walking and you go through a door, and then behind the door there's a character that will like attack you. And Cody had went through it, and the door closed behind him, and the person went after him, and he ended up on the ground in a fetal position, crying.
I was in the floor.
Going back to the water levels, though, I can tell you right now, just from going back to playing Mario, there's been a few times where I've wanted to disintegrate a controller after a fucking squid is chasing me down.
The blooper? The blooper?
Yeah, the dumbass fucking squids that like will change direction and like trap you and those things piss me off.
No, yeah, that underwater. I don't know. I think JBuck was playing an underwater game the other day, and for some reason, underwater games I feel like just get under people's skins like that. But one other one that's VR that I think would work in VR, and very much leaning into the kind of that scary or horror vibe that Cody just brought up. I wouldn't want to play this, but I know that people would. The movie The Strangers. Put into
no
a
chance.
VR game.
Nope. Good night. Bye-bye. 0%. Never don't even bring that disc near my fucking house.
The thing
no
is,
chance.
Somehow they have to market it where it's not, you don't know it's that, and you're playing the game and you're just like hanging out in the kitchen or in the house, and you're just doing things, and then slowly but surely weird things start happening, like your phone goes missing. The door is open. Nope. Someone comes to the door. Like, if that all played out that way, that would be the scariest fucking video game ever.
Nope. Fuck that. I'm home alone right now. You're fucking my sleep up, dude. That movie, that's for me, that's the scariest movie ever.
Yeah.
Is The Strangers. It would be interesting, especially in that Castaway thing. You know, you're all alone on this island, and you think you know what the game is about, and then maybe some shit starts to happen.
Like maybe like
it would be interesting to kind of spring that on someone. Yeah,
I think that's actually kind of that game though. That one that's on PS4 is that there's some weird stuff going on the island too, and you don't know exactly what. So I've thought about it, but it just creeps me out. I'm interested, I'm intrigued, but that game creeps me out.
Yeah, I love a good kind of like survival mystery like that. But then when something happens that I wasn't expecting, which is hard to have in a video game or even a movie nowadays, then I'm like, oh God, no. I think the scariest game I've ever played is PT maybe, or Outlast, one of the two.
PT is scary, man.
Yeah.
We didn't finish. We tried together. Seth and I tried jointly.
No, we did. We finished it.
Did we finish it?
We beat it, yeah.
I thought we got stuck and we couldn't, but we got close enough. Because I don't think we got to the Norman Reedus scene at the end. Or at least I don't remember it. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure we did because we looked
but
it up.
We had a hell of a time. Yeah, we did walk through, definitely. That was like 10 minutes in, we're like, yeah, we need to walk through.
Well, that game is so fascinating how people figured it out, because did you guys have to do the whole, you essentially find a YouTube video and take the audio from that YouTube video through your microphone?
No,
we did.
I remember
the way
hearing
that we
about
played
that.
it
We
through,
somehow got
did,
around that,
and it worked.
Yeah, we got around that somehow. I don't remember how.
Huh.
Yeah, that game was, and then like way later, they came out with a hack that pulled the camera back to third person. And when you're playing in third person, you realize that there's a single ghost right behind you the entire game. Yep. And I will never play that game again now that I know that. Never. I won't even put it in my fucking console.
Yeah. Well, I know that at the very beginning, if you turn around in that room and just stare at that little table with like the paper bag on it, I believe, then the ghost like gets you. But yeah, like the fact that it came out later that people like broke the game to figure out that the ghost was behind you, it's like, no, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good.
I don't need that. And going back to your Tomb Raider Easter egg with the sexy voices and whatever, like, yeah, Seth, that's weird that like Easter eggs are in there, but I'm way more concerned about the people that are making these video games that are scary, because like people that make scary movies and people that make scary games, they got some shit in their head that I am glad I don't have in mine. I'm glad that's not what my imagination produces, because the idea of that creepy ass lady, and why would you need, it doesn't mean anything to the game that she's always behind you, but the idea that you, the coder, need to like, I'm gonna make them follow you around the whole fucking time and I'll know and nobody else, that is some sinister shit that I don't have time for. I'm cussing a lot because I'm scared. But
well, the thing is, if people aren't aware of this was a playable trailer. Isn't that what it was? PT, a playable trailer?
Yep.
For Silent Hills that we never got from Kojima and Konami and everything like that. But yeah, this was a demo that you can't get anymore, so if you had to have downloaded it. I remember the last day that it was available, I came home on my lunch break to download it because I was like, I need this for the future. So I still have it on my console, but I remember...
It's like Flappy Bird.
What's that?
It's like Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
You got to keep it if you got a copy.
Still have that too, man. Still got that Flappy Bird.
Saying, when PT went away, consoles that had it were going on eBay for like $1,000.
Yeah. I should have sold my console.
Shoot.
But I remember there's that one part where you go to the bathroom and the hand creepily comes out of the door and there's a face, and that, I don't think I've ever screamed that loud in my life. Like,
yep.
Dude.
Yeah.
There's also one where there's a ghost lady at the end of a hallway and comes towards you. And I just remember Cody like, like doing that noise.
You know what? When you guys are, when life opens up again and you guys are down here, we should all stream that together.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You're gonna make sure that's an explicit stream, because when I get scared, I cuss a lot, and there's gonna be a lot of that. And what's funny is, like, I do remember that bathroom scene you're talking about, Jared, because I'm pretty sure that hand and face show up and then they close the bathroom door.
Yep, and then you're supposed to open the door.
You need to go back in. And I remember playing that and going like, well, obviously can't go in that fucking bathroom because there's a demon. And Seth is sitting there next, just like the buddy who's not playing always is like, hey, you better go in there. The game wants you to go in there. Open the door, go in. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what it would take, would be all three of us. Yeah. I think prodding each other to get me back into that at all.
And I would, because I read the stuff, online of like what to do next and all that. So I knew what was, coming every time you had to do something. So
fucker. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
We tried that for like 2 or 3 days, and it was the only thing we did for a couple of days, and those were dark times. I don't think I slept very well then.
Yeah, no, that scared the bejesus out of me. Outlast too, especially like that very first scare.
Yep.
I was like, no.
I didn't make it past that first scare.
I'm good.
That's when I quit.
I'm good.
Yeah. I almost broke. That's the last time I almost broke a PlayStation controller. Was that first time the big guy grabs you out of the bookcase. Yeah. I threw it and I left the room. It was like someone's got to go in there and shut the PlayStation off because I'm not.
That's another one too where he's getting chased in that one, and he does not like being chased, and so
it's my worst.
It's another one. He's like, fuck shit, and then he'd run into a
cabinet or whatever, like a closet, and then you'd basically get
because you're like sitting there waiting for him, but the scary terrier or whatever his name is chasing you down.
Hey bitch,
You can run, but you can't hide, bitch.
Yeah, because that scene or that part of the game, you have to go down and turn on like the 2 generators, but you only have like 2 battery. Oh god, I hate that game. Like it gets under my skin just thinking about that. But another one that
if you had a gun or a knife in that game, fine.
Oh yeah, but you don't.
If I can defend myself, but as soon as you take away all my supplies and just tell me like run, I guess that's that's when no chance.
If it was like, hey, you get 1 punch every 5 minutes or something, then it's like I'm gonna punch and then I'm gonna sit here and wait. But another one that this was more of like a cinematic game. Did either of you guys play Until Dawn?
Yeah, we played it all one night.
Oh, really?
We had a blast with that one. That was super fun.
Yeah, scary for sure the first time through, but that's a hell of a party game because it's a movie.
Yep.
Yep.
I think what's fun about that one is that they make you aware that there are all these characters and like some of them are probably going to die. So you don't feel like the stakes are as high with any one of them. And so therefore it's less scary. That was my experience. And so like we had fun. Like, when there's the one guy, Jesse Williams, who was on Grey's Anatomy. We got him killed somehow. I don't remember how. And like we laughed about it. We're like, there goes Jesse. So that one was a lot more fun. And I'm not totally opposed to horror games when they're like that one, when they're a more fun party aspect. And they had that aspect too of you can't go back. Like after someone dies, they're done and the story continues. That one was a really fun. I'd love to play more of those.
Yeah. That might have been the last time I stayed up. I think we stayed up till it got light out. It was like 6 a.m.
All night.
It was
all night.
It was me, Cody, and our buddy Mike V from Old Wine. He came down for a weekend, and like we decided at like 7 or 8 o'clock on a Saturday, we were like, let's go get this Until Dawn game. So we went to GameStop, got a used copy of it, and played from like 9 or 10 o'clock until the sun came up. And we were falling asleep while playing, but we had a couple of beers or whatever, and played that all night. That was fun.
That's exactly how that game should go. Is you get a handful of people. Were you guys all trying to like play into picking the decisions too, or was there not enough time?
I think at times we could, but sometimes, and especially as you get closer to the end of the game, you got to make snap decisions. And so eventually it just depends on whoever happens to be holding the controller. Because you got to pass it. That's what's fun. That's what's so fun about that, is you got to keep it passing.
No,
that way we'd all stayed awake too.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there was like a follow-up to that game, but it was just like an on-rails shooter, and it just...
for VR.
Yeah, crap the bed or whatever.
Yep. It had nothing to do with Until Dawn. They essentially used the name or whatever.
Before we wrap up, though, I have a couple more questions for you guys. A few people over on Twitter. I'm gonna have to check YouTube to see if there's any questions over there. But Christian, who also was part of the charity live stream, he has a podcast, Film Optics. He sent one in. He says, thoughts about Warner Brothers removing half of their DC movies on HBO Max. Did you guys know about this?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it.
Tell me more. Are they going to like stagger them and not have them all out at the same time?
So a big handful of movies, including Lego Batman, they are leaving HBO Max July 1st, which is weird because HBO, Warner Brothers, whatever, they own all of those movies. They're just taking them off the platform for now. So, like, I think it was Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, all of that stuff is just poof, disappearing.
Is it going somewhere else, or are they just taking it off? I guess I'm confused as to what exactly. Because if what they're doing is that they don't want to have the whole library out there, and they're gonna they'll bring those back and then take some stuff off. And you kind of rotate it. I'm okay with them rotating it.
I guess that's kind of what they're doing, because they're still leaving stuff on there, like Joker and stuff like that's on there. I know, like I know Dark Knight and Batman Begins are both on Hulu right now.
Oh yeah.
So like there's the Warner Brothers stuff. I think is still kind of spread out and not necessarily like. I think there might be streaming rights other places right now with it. So it makes sense because HBO Max was only announced 6-8 months ago. It's not like they had a ton of time to secure a bunch of stuff, so they're using their own thing.
And like you said, Cody, it's a rotation. I think that you kind of need to do that right now, especially Disney's doing it with Disney Plus, with certain things not being included right away. And then they also have some of their stuff is still on Netflix, Ant-Man and the Wasp and things like that. Infinity War, I think, might still be on Netflix too. So, I think that once licenses get all the way back to where they need to be in terms of the original home, you'll see more stuff on the service, or more of a rotation.
That's kind
I
of
think there's something to be said for a rotation. And so now in 3 months, when Lego Batman comes back onto HBO, you can say HBO Lego is coming out, and that's one thing that Netflix does really well, is every month they'll bring in new stuff, and they'll tell you what's leaving this month, and that prompts a lot of people to watch those things. So I don't have a problem with it, as long as that's the plan, which is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm assuming as well. I know some people were up in arms about it and everything like that. I mean, it's not like any of those movies I was like really clamoring to watch anyways. I think it's better than what Disney Plus did, where it's like they had a handful of movies listed, and then you clicked on it and it said not available until 2021, and then it's like, why'd you list this movie if that's the case? I think there's still movies on there that they're leased out to wherever else they were, they made contracts with, either Netflix, Hulu, whoever knows, wherever else. At least they're not doing that, where they're inflating their library, where it doesn't actually, like, those movies don't actually exist on there.
If you're going to do, what I wouldn't mind is if on, like you're talking about with Disney, if you clicked on a movie and it said not available here, watch it on Netflix until 2021. Of course, Disney would never do that, but that would be a really cool feature. If the reasoning was because it's on another streaming service, then tell me where that is. Otherwise, just take the movie off completely. I don't want you to show me the shit that's not on.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I don't know if one of you guys mentioned there's like a site that tells you where everything's streaming, but I always type in the movie title, where streaming, or streaming where, and then just figure it out through there.
Yep.
One other question. Actually, this is one of my questions, back to kind of the video games. What video game do you think you've played the most?
In terms of cumulative hours, because I can tell you the game I've played the most times through, and that's Uncharted 2.
How many times?
I think 3. 3 total. Yeah.
But obviously that's like, what, a good 20, 25 hours each run, so that's not that many hours.
That's probably more like 12.
Oh, it's only 12?
It's a shorter game. The most total time spent.
I think for me, if it were possible to count a franchise, then it's probably Madden Football, because I've played every one of those games for 25 years. If it's a single game, it's probably for me Crash Bandicoot 2: The Wrath of Cortex. I've 100%ed that one at least 3 times, but probably more. And I honestly can't remember how much I played it as a kid.
Wait,
but that was a big one for me.
100%ed that game?
Yeah, a few times.
Those games are tough.
Yeah, I just edited it last summer on the Insane trilogy. 100%ed the second game, because I've played it enough times. I know where all the secret jumps are and stuff like that, and it's just a matter of kind of doing it. But that's probably the game I've played the most. I don't know. I have a hard... Overwatch in recent years is one I've spent a lot of time on. Halo, shitload of multiplayer Halo action. Oh my gosh. If you're looking for truly most cumulative hours, it's probably one of those multiplayer games, a Halo or a Madden or something along those lines.
I think I figured out mine. I think it's Guitar Hero 3.
You think so?
Yes. I used to come home from school every day and just play for hours and hours, just going through, getting good at expert, beating the all the song lists on expert, and just playing over and over and over again. I played so much Guitar Hero 3. It was on the Wii that I played it on. Probably a year straight I'd play like every day for at least half hour to 3 hours.
Were you expert level?
Yeah. I could get through the entire set list of the game, like the on the story game, all the songs on there, like the extra songs, like Through the Fire and Flames, and that Not a fucking chance.
No.
I could get somewhat into it, but eventually I'd lose it. But the entire like actual game itself, where all the songs you would unlock that were part of the story and all that, I could do through expert.
I think for myself, I would have to dial it down and figure it out. I think probably Dan out there would be Dan Ruddert, our friend. Is that how you say his last name? I always mess up his last Roder.
Long Oder, yeah.
Probably RuneScape, because I've been playing that game since I was
RuneScape
in 4th grade. Like I still, dude, right now I have an iPad. I'm right there working the stock market. I have $5 million in coal right now. I'm waiting for the price to go up. So I'm very much in that, and that's probably one just because I've played it over the years so much. But I think that when I was growing up, like it was, you save money, you buy your own games. So when I would do that, I would play one game as much as I could. So it's probably a toss-up between Dynasty Warriors 4, which I just played over and over again to try to get like the level 10 weapons for everyone. And then also James Bond 007 Nightfire, where the multiplayer, I would just set up bots and then throw mines everywhere or remote control cars and stuff and just have fun.
Nightfire was amazing, and I know this is a controversial opinion, but I never had a Nintendo 64 or understand this. That is my favorite James Bond game. You can have your GoldenEye, and I know everyone loves that, but Nightfire was the shit. I played the crap out of that game with my brother.
I think Nightfire is there for me as my favorite one, or one that I played the most, because I couldn't have GoldenEye growing up because we weren't supposed to have like violent games. So then when I became of age, I think it was like, I don't know when that game came out, but I played, like, I loved the campaign and trying to get all the trophies or like the little secrets and everything, but I always had it like 6 computers versus me, and I'm like, okay, I'm only going to use a pistol this time, and I can only get headshots, or I can only shoot them in the legs. Like, I think it's just the imagination of trying to make up your own challenges, because that was before trophies, PlayStation 2. So that probably is the game I've played the most. Final Fantasy games, I'm sure I've played quite a bit, especially Final Fantasy X. But I had a very, very unhealthy relationship with Destiny 1 when it first came out.
That's it. Yeah, I could see it. That game is vast.
There's certain games that I've learned I have to stay away from. And that, for some reason, I have no idea why, because honestly, the game is very hollow. There's not much to it. Within 1 year, I have a screenshot of how much, like, you could look up how much time you played. And I think that this was like a few months before I stopped. And I think it's a little over a year. I put 457 hours into it.
Jesus Christ.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because this was when I was doing Twitch. I would come home from work, jump on at 4:30 and play until 10:30 at night. Like, I was addicted to this game.
That's what Destiny, or what Destiny. What Destiny does really well is you're constantly, and I think this is what makes video games addictive, is you're constantly being rewarded in Destiny. Right, you're always getting XP for every little thing you do, and you're always trying to get the most XP. So I could see that. I could see that for sure. There's plenty to do in there. I burned through relatively quickly just the story on Destiny. I didn't do a lot of the side missions, but I could totally. There's enough of them. You could spend a lot of time in there, and especially when you get the DLCs and everything.
That's what it was every night. It's like, because it has the weekly reset. So I'm like, okay, I'm rocking 3 characters. I have to do the whatever Nightfire thing, or not Nightfire, but like the special raid, and then the other thing, and then the weekly challenges with each character. So I'm like, strategically, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
Another game.
They designed that to be addictive because they always put out something new for you to do. Like, it's Tuesday, you better come do this raid.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got me. And then another one, I sat down and played for 20 minutes, and I got up and walked away because I knew that I would lose many, many friends in life, was Skyrim. I played 20 minutes of it, and I'm like, wait, so I can do this, and this, and the person was like, yeah, you can. And I just set the controller down and walked away, and they're like, you don't like it? I'm like, I can't do this. So there's certain games I've taught like The Witcher. That's probably the most recent one. I can't play that game because you won't see me for months. I will disappear.
Those RPGs, man. My girlfriend's really into. You had Gina on to talk about Kingdom Hearts, I think, or Final Fantasy, and she's been playing Skyrim. I watched her play Skyrim for like an hour one time a month ago, and all she did, I think, was she had to go to a castle and pick up a sword.
Yep.
And bring it back to this guy who needed it. And it took her like 90 minutes. And it was like the smallest little bit of a way bigger mission that she was on. And I was like, yeah, I could never.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience. I do not have the patience for a game like that.
Yeah. And I can't. I would. Like, 4th grade me would have eaten that shit up. I can't now. I'm sorry. I just can't.
I did it for Spider-Man. I 100%ed Spider-Man.
Well, Spider-Man, the thing is, Spider-Man has like a set time. Like, that was like, what, 60 hours tops? Not even that, probably. 40?
I don't know. I'd have to look. But it took me a while. It took me a while to 100% because, there's a lot of side missions, but it's a finite amount. I think that's the biggest thing. You know there are 100 missions, and you're like, oh, it's a lot of missions, but there's an end. Games like Skyrim and Destiny, like, there's not. There's no promised ending to that shit.
And that's the bad thing. I'm like, where's the end? And there's no end. Seth, you got anything else?
No, I typically, I do like to collect a lot of stuff in games. I think that I do have a problem sometimes with like, if I feel like the task that you're trying to do to get 100% is like really dumb, then I won't complete it. Like Spider-Man had to like find the secret locations to take pictures in front of, and I'm like, I don't care about that. I'm not going to do that. Horizon was the last game I got really close to 100% on, but still, even that one was like, I think I spent 90 hours in that game, and that I didn't do 100% on because I was just like, some of this stuff is so stupid.
Yeah, but oh my god, Cody. Did you ever play that game?
Never played it, but I watched.
Oh my god!
I watched Seth play that game for more hours than I've played certain games myself. That was one that for a while it was, it's how Seth and to a lesser extent me spent like our weeknight. You'd come home from work, put the game on, play for a few hours, maybe watch some TV or whatever, and go to bed. And then Saturdays it was 8 hours. There you go. That was an easy one to. Yeah, I never got it for myself. If and when we hear about the sequel, which hopefully we're hearing about soon. I know tomorrow's a big PlayStation 5 announcement.
They said there's 3 big game announcements coming tomorrow, along with the PS5 reveal. So we'll see.
Sweet.
So
maybe if that is Horizon, I could see myself getting it to catch up and get the sequel because everything I've seen, I really think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think one of them's going to be Gran Turismo, which they always announce with the first console, or like the new console is always a Gran Turismo, but. I have an inkling that Horizon will be a potentially either a launch title or be kind of one of the first
ones. Got it. I hope so. Yeah. I mean, by the time people are listening, this will be they'll know what we're talking about. No, I would very much love to see a second one, even though I didn't play the DLC. I always feel like I get hooked into games, but I never play the DLC when it comes out. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go back.
What about? If you could get, if announced tomorrow, you could either get God of War sequel or Horizon sequel. Only one. Which one would you have?
Ooh, that's a real tough one.
I haven't played God of War yet, so I would have to say Horizon.
I think I
have God of War. I haven't played it.
I gotta go God of War just because I'm so invested in that. I've played every single one, including the PSP ones or PS Vita ones or whatever they were that they ported
Ascension.
to the. No, that was a PS3. That was a prequel.
Oh, okay.
They did 2 PSP ones that took place in between, I think 1 and 2, between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, and they ended up porting them to the PS3. I love those games, and the story's amazing. Because I love the story so much, I would go with God of War. But Horizon is a great story too, and there's a lot of lore they've already built into it. With just the first game, so can't go wrong either way. But I think I think if they were to announce one, it's Horizon just because it's older.
Timing, yeah.
Yeah.
So
if it's a Spider-Man 2, you're gonna see me do some crazy shit.
I checked Twitter a couple hours ago, and some people were hinting that it could potentially be the Spider-Man follow-up. Which, if that's the case, I am all on board. I don't know. We'll have to get you guys on a future episode after we know what the hell the PS5 is, what games are coming, everything like that. But yeah, this was more of a, not really nonsense heavy, but more game heavy. I like talking about games, so, you know, bringing more game content to the channel. Anyways, though, Seth, Cody, thank you guys so much for hanging out. You know, it's been a long night recording many podcast hours worth of stuff. And I'm sorry that you guys were flushing discs down the toilet. I still can't believe that. That is just not right. But aside from flushing discs down the toilet, what do you guys got going on? What, you know, plugs, all of that stuff. What's coming up? I mean, I will say, not to steal your thunder, but you guys are coming up to 3 years podcasting soon, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's coming up soon. I think it'll be during the month of July. We'll have our 3-year anniversary, and we don't have details confirmed yet, but we're hoping to do some big and exciting things for the anniversary and potentially use them as a launching point for more exciting things for our podcast and just our little suite of things that we like to do. So big things, I guess, consider this a teaser. Big things we hope are in store for the SoCo Show, starting at the 3-year anniversary, which will be in July. SoCo Show is available everywhere you get podcasts. Just search The SoCo Show. That's SoCo. And you'll find us at SoCo Show Pod on Twitter and Facebook to get a hold of Seth and I.
And you can find our exclusive cassette versions of the SoCo Show at Sam Goody. So go in and check those out.
There you go.
Oh, God. I would love to get one of those signed by you guys. So maybe one time I can get one autographed and frame that, put that up in a nice picture frame. But, yeah, guys, jump over there. Everyone that's listening, jump over there. Check out their podcast. Listen to it. Subscribe. All that stuff. They've been, honestly, great podcast. And they've been generous enough to invite me over for, 9 weeks almost in a row.
Wow, it's gonna be weird when the time comes that you need to step back and focus on your stuff and not be on our show every week. It's gonna be weird. Like, we're gonna have to readjust to not having you on.
Well, here's some insight. I just found out today I might have to be moving JBuck Live time slot for a little bit just because of certain things in life. So stay tuned for that. But my Wednesday is completely wide open still. So as long as you guys are inviting me over, I'm still going to be there.
Sweet.
But no, thank you guys so much for joining me for this podcast. I mean, we usually do the Patreon exclusive ones, which I'm sure I'll get you guys on next week for one. But no, this was fun to get you guys on video, get you guys out there, you know, getting questions, talking about video games, all that nonsense and whatnot. But guys, thank you so much. And until next time, we will see you guys later.
Peace.